Welcome to today's video. We have 5 trades that I've picked from online blogs in which people think these trades are feasible and could affect the future of the NBA today. This is the first blockbuster trade of the video. It may not seem realistic, but Karl-Anthony Towns to the Los Angeles Clippers for Cameron Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith, second-round pick, and Terrence Mann. The Clippers trade Norman Powell, Kobe Brown, Bones Hyland, PJ Tucker, and a first-round pick to the Brooklyn Nets. I think this is an interesting trade. Yes, it's a lot of pieces to move around for each team, but the Clippers will benefit so much from this, and I think the Nets are looking for key pieces to make their team better for this year. And I think the only losers actually of this trade are the Timberwolves. Just getting Terrence Mann, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Cameron Johnson, it helps their team out a little bit, but they really need like a solid point guard, and this doesn't help them really. So I think this trade would never happen. But to see Karl-Anthony Towns on the Clippers will be super interesting in the playoffs to see if he can make an impact. Jeff Downton is the Clippers starting point guard with James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, Karl-Anthony Towns, and Zubac. I don't know why the Clippers have so many centers, but maybe they can make a trade to get a point guard. Maybe this trade isn't so good. Let's sim to the end of the season and see where all 3 teams are at. Player stats for this team: Towns averaged 24, 7, and 3 a game. Honestly, I think not having a point guard all season, they picked up Jalen Pickett as their starting point guard. Don't know if this trade really works for any team. The Nets, Norman Powell averaged 17 points a game, so he had an uptick, and Bones Hyland, but they're basically tanking for Cooper Flagg at this point. The final team for this trade is the Minnesota Timberwolves, who have Anthony Edwards now as their leading star. Towns is not a detriment to the team. Well, I mean, their record isn't great, but Edwards has 34 points a game on 5 rebounds and 3 assists. I'd give this a C rank for trades. Nothing really insane happened. None of our players are on any of the 6-man or defensive player or most improved. In the playoffs, we have the Timberwolves versus the Thunder, and we have the Clippers versus the Pelicans. The first round of the playoffs are absolutely insane. Timberwolves win in a Game 7 win against the Thunder, who are the 1 seed. The Nuggets are the 5th seed, so both lower seeds in the top of the bracket won. Both our teams are into the second round of the playoffs, which is interesting to see. We are going to simulate this round, and the Clippers got eliminated in Game 7 after a 3-1 comeback. The Timberwolves come out ahead against the Denver Nuggets and are in the Western Conference Finals against the Dallas Mavericks, which is basically what happened in real life. Nothing really changed, I guess, with Towns leaving. So Naz Reid was that piece for the team. Can the Timberwolves make it to the NBA Finals as the 8th seed? And they don't. They lose 4-1, just like in real life. In this simulation, Mavericks win 4-1 and are your NBA champions. Timberwolves are the winner of this trade. Karl-Anthony Towns did not lead the Clippers into the Western Conference Finals or the NBA Finals. Timberwolves almost made it with basically getting rid of Towns. I hope this shows how much of an impact Karl-Anthony Towns is to the Minnesota Timberwolves as of this point. It's just a simulation though. It's not real life, right? And for the second trade of this video, it is a banger. It is Brandon Ingram for Darius Garland. These other pieces mean nothing. It's basically a 1-for-1. Let's see what this does for both the Cleveland Cavaliers and the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, because you get rid of Darius Garland, Ty Jerome becomes a starting point guard, which I think is all right if maybe they make a trade or an in-season move. I'm definitely not going to affect these trades, but you got Donovan Mitchell, Brandon Ingram, Evan Mobley, and Jarrett Allen. This starting roster is insane with Karis LeVert off the bench, Max Strus, Isaac Okoro. I mean, they have depth. And on the Pelicans side, if you look at this roster, you get DeJounte Murray, you get CJ McCollum, you get Zion Williamson, you get Darius Garland as your backup 6-man. Honestly, I would maybe move CJ to the bench and have Darius Garland start over him. I mean, that would make the most sense to me. Or you move, I don't know. There's so many ways that you can make this roster work, and this just looks so dominant. Jose Alvarado's here too. This move can make the Pelicans contenders. Let's let them decide what they want to do for the game plan and simulate to the end of the season for both teams. So the Pelicans end up 36-45 at the end of the season. Not great for them. I don't know how they got worse, but this trade actually made them worse. And the Cavaliers are 41-40. Whoever made this trade, I don't know what you're smoking, but I guess it doesn't bring plus 11 wins to the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're actually much worse. Donovan Mitchell averages 25, 4, and 5 a game. Brandon Ingram averages about 25, 5, and 4 a game. Realistically, these guys should be winning every single game that they play, and I don't know what the determining factor is for the team, but we will go to the plus minus maybe. I don't know why they're losing games. Maybe their bench just stinks. Point guard Ty Jerome played well. He 75 overall. He had but Isaac Okoro minus 132, bud. That's insane. insane. For the Pelicans, all their stats look about mid. Darius Garland is averaging about 18, 2, and 7 a game. I don't know how many minutes he's playing. He's averaging about 28 minutes per game. CJ McCollum is averaging 29 minutes a game, so they're kind of splitting the game in half between the two of them. I wonder if the Pelicans would be better if Darius Garland started ahead of CJ McCollum, but I let them decide this. I don't know how they'd do their roster if they made this trade. I think they would dump CJ if this was realistic. But let's go into the playoffs and see if either team made it. The Pelicans are eliminated in the play-in, and the Cavaliers are the 7th seed. So Cavaliers are facing the Milwaukee Bucks with Damian Lillard, Gary Trent Jr., Chris Middleton, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Brook Lopez. Chris Middleton is out for the season. Actually, he just had surgery on his ankles. I think both of them. I think that Ty Jerome is the key factor to the Cavaliers winning this series. Can he guard Damian Lillard and hold him to under 25 a game? Simulate the round, and the Cavaliers move on. They beat the Bucks, and we play the Atlanta Hawks, who have Trae Young, Bogdan Bogdanovic, DeAndre Hunter, Jalen Johnson, and Onyeka Okongwu. We should easily beat this team. Come on. Eastern Conference Finals. Oh my God. We almost brought it back. It was game 7 and we lost. Simulate the playoffs. 76ers and the Thunder are in the finals. OKC wins in game 7. In the regular season, the Cleveland Cavaliers didn't play great, but to see them be the 7th seed and beat the Bucks and go to game 7 against the Atlanta Hawks in the conference semifinals is interesting. I want to see in game 7 kind of what happened. Hawks blew them out, but Brandon Ingram had 23, 6, and 5. He had 7 turnovers though. Yeah. I think that this is probably a B rank for a trade, but it's not a good B, like a B minus, maybe a C plus. So let's move on to the third trade. Trae Young to the Los Angeles Lakers is the third trade. Now, this is what they show as the trade on the website. Obviously, 18 players isn't going to work with 12 players, and the salaries don't really match. We're going to make this work, but at the end of the day, Trae Young is going to be a Los Angeles Laker, and the Atlanta Hawks are going to have a bunch of role pieces and basically be rebuilding. Let's get right into this. So if the team was to make this trade today, D'Angelo Russell does move over to the shooting guard, and that kind of helps them out a little bit for the game plan, because you got Trae Young, D'Angelo Russell, Taurean Prince, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis, with Jared Vanderbilt coming off the bench, Christian Wood, and Jackson Hayes. Do I think this team could win a championship with Trae Young, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis? In real life, no. In this video game simulation, probably. It does make them contenders. Now, the Atlanta Hawks have Gabe Vincent, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, Jalen Johnson, and Clint Capella. Just a lot of bench pieces here. They're in full rebuild, but I do think they have a chance of at least getting close to 500. Let's simulate to the end of the season and see how this third trade will pan out. In the long term for this trade, I think the Hawks actually benefit really well. It's a lot of young pieces that have talent and get a lot of playing time if this scenario goes through. So for the Lakers, I don't feel like LeBron and AD and Trae are going to mix well. Trae's going to be shooting a lot. He's going to be passing maybe enough to get LeBron in the picture, but LeBron likes to be the point guard. It would be a weird dynamic. So far, the Hawks are 30 and 28. They 31 and 28, 32 and 28. This is interesting. Does a team full of 80s make it to the playoffs? Like, if you have a team full stacked of just decent players, can they make it far in this league? And the answer is yes. The Hawks are 41 and 40. Player stats right now, Austin Reeves is their star with 22 points a game, 5 assists, and 3 rebounds. Bogdan Bogdanovic is 17, 3 and 4. Rui Hachimura has 14, Jalen Johnson 13. Close to all the same numbers, just a little bit of a decrease in each individual player. I'm liking what I'm seeing from the Hawks. They look like a solid team. Maybe give them 2 years and they will be championship contenders. Or maybe not. I don't know. The Lakers are 50 and 31. Kind of what I expected from this career sim, but I did not expect Trae Young to average almost 30 and 10 a game. With LeBron and AD and D'Angelo, I don't think there's enough balls to go around for this team. AD averages 18 and 12. LeBron has 26, 8, and 10. I think this is probably an A trade. We'll see if they make it to the end of the finals, but definitely a solid A right now. If they win the championship, it's an A+. The Atlanta Hawks are the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference versus the Philadelphia 76ers, and the Los Angeles Lakers are facing the Minnesota Timberwolves in the Western Conference. So both teams made it to the playoffs. Timberwolves look the same, didn't make any trades. Karl-Anthony Towns is still on the team though. And on the other side, the Atlanta Hawks are facing Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, filled 76ers roster. Maybe they have a chance. Let's simulate and see if both teams can make it to the conference semifinals. Minnesota Timberwolves beat the Los Angeles Lakers 4-1, and the Hawks are eliminated in the first round as well. You know, just when you think both teams look great, it just doesn't work out. Game 5 in the playoffs, just average numbers, nobody really shot great. I guess for the Hawks, at least they made it to the playoffs. I really didn't expect them to. I thought they'd be like a little under sub 500, but it's cool to see them the 8th seed. Lakers, on the other hand, exactly what I expected. If they had a poor shooting night, I think everyone would have a poor shooting night. LeBron chucking, Trey chucking, D'Angelo chucking, and Anthony Davis, if he's healthy, he can maybe get you some points, but there is not enough basketballs to go around on this team. Game 1, 52 from Trey. That's kind of the only way they won. He just kept making baskets. 31 from Trey, 32 from Trey. He carried this Lakers team into the NBA playoffs by himself. Old LeBron, he's done for, probably retiring after the season. 76ers win it in 4-1 fashion, and we are moving on to the 4th trade in this video. This trade is huge. It's the Warriors, the Knicks, and the Jazz all making trades to benefit their team. Lauri Markkanen has been in a ton of trade talks, and I don't know if he's going to go anywhere, but this instance, somebody suggested that they get rid of Walker Kessler, Lauri Markkanen, and Jordan Clarkson, and just start over with Andrew Wiggins, Jonathan Kuminga, and I'm not even going to say his name. I know he's a good player, but I just have never heard his pronunciation of his name. So, the Warriors get Lauri Markkanen, Jordan Clarkson, Mitchell Robinson, and Miles McBride. The Knicks get Walker Kessler and Kevin Looney, and the Jazz get Andrew Wiggins, Jonathan Kuminga, and Brandon. What do I think from this trade? The Jazz obviously are in rebuild mode because they're going nowhere with these players. The Warriors and the Knicks benefit greatly from both of these trades. This honestly on paper looks amazing for every team involved, because the Jazz get what they want, the Knicks get what they want, and the Warriors get what they want. Warriors need a power forward. They need somebody to come off the bench. They need a strong center. That's what they get out of this trade. Lauri Markkanen is a great piece to add with Steph Curry after Klay Thompson leaves. Walker Kessler and Kevin Looney bring that center presence that the Knicks lost with Isaiah Hartenstein leaving. Exactly what they're looking for with the Nova squad. And the last part is Andrew Wiggins gets dumped. His contract is huge. He gets to be on a team where he can be the number one, basically, star with Jonathan Kuminga and, Podziemski. I think that's what his name is. The new starting lineup for the Knicks looks like this: Jalen Brunson, DiVincenzo, Mikal Bridges, Julius Randle, and Walker Kessler. That is a solid Eastern Conference team right there. I think they make it far. Eastern Conference Finals. That's where I'm predicting. The Jazz make out like bandits. They're going for Cooper Flag in next year's NBA draft. They are going to tank so hard. Maybe Andrew Wiggins can average 40 points a game. I don't know. I think he's kind of over with. Get rid of that contract. That's great for them. And finally, the team that we're all waiting for, the Warriors. They move Lauri Markkanen into the small forward position, which is super interesting. I don't know if I do that, but this team looks dominant as hell. Steph Curry, Buddy Hield, Lauri Markkanen, Draymond Green, and Mitchell Robinson with Jordan Clarkson, Miles McBride, Gary Payton off the bench. Bench is pretty weak, but maybe Steph Curry and Lauri Markkanen can make a long trip with Mitchell Robinson as well. This is a good team. Don't know if they make the Western Conference Finals. It'll get close. Playoffs for sure, but maybe a first-round exit. At the end of the season, the Warriors have Lauri Markkanen at 24 points per game with 8 rebounds and 1.5 assists. Steph Curry averaging 31.5 with 6 assists and 4 rebounds. Jordan Clarkson off the bench with 16 points. That's exactly what you want. Mitchell Robinson getting his rebounds, 8.5 with 6 points. He's not really a big scorer, but he's more of a defending type. So you'll see that almost averaging 2 blocks a game and a steal. Draymond Green and Mitchell Robinson being their, defending core. It's going to be tough to get points in the paint on this team. They are 50-31. Definitely a team to look at. And Jonathan Kuminga is the new star of the Utah Jazz. Andrew Wiggins averaged 14 points a game. He's done. He's done. Jonathan Kuminga is the new star for the Utah Jazz. Not much else to say. They did not make the playoffs. And the final team is the New York Knicks, who are 45-36. The new piece to this Knicks team is Walker Kessler, who averaged 8 points per game, 10 rebounds on 3 blocks a game. He's exactly what they need for this team, because Jalen Brunson's putting up 28 a game on 8 assists. Julius Randle has 18 and 8 a game. Mikal Bridges has 17.5. This is a solid overall team. And Kevon Looney didn't play. Okay, he was just a trade piece. Look at him. He's scary as hell. Do you want him on the floor with your team? No. Jonathan Kuminga, most improved player. We made it on the screen for one of our trades, having a career breakout season. Maybe he'll be a future all-star. We'll never know. because we're not we're not going past 1 year on this. The Warriors are the 3rd seed in the West against the Denver Nuggets, and the New York Knicks are the 4th seed against the Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference. Let's simulate round 1. Hopefully one of our teams can make it to the NBA Finals at some point with one of these trades, but it's not gonna be the Warriors. They have been eliminated in the first round just as I predicted. The New York Knicks have made it to the semifinals though against the 76ers, who have been dominant with Paul George. I think this will be an interesting game, but the 76ers are probably going to win this. They sweep them. Oh no. Well, I'd say that this trade, honestly, is probably a close B+ to A-. I'm relatively happy with how all the teams look and kind of panned out. Basically where I thought they'd be. Doesn't send any team too overboard, but does give them the missing piece that maybe in the future could lead them to a championship, but I don't think in a 1-year simulation it affects this too greatly. We're moving on to the 5th and final trade. The 76ers just keep winning. They can't lose with Paul George. Let's move on to the 5th and final trade. This is the final trade of today's video. This is from Bleacher Report itself, so I don't know why either team would make this trade. It's super weird and interesting because Zion can't stay healthy. Ja Morant. Ja Morant. I want to see if this benefits either team at all. Let's go to the end of the season and see where the Grizzlies and Pelicans end up. This is such a weird trade. I don't know why either team would make this. Zion is now the power forward with Marcus Smart, Desmond Bane, Vince Williams Jr., and Jaren Jackson Jr. Brandon Clark off the bench, Zach Edey. I don't know why the Grizzlies would ever do something like this. But here's the Pelicans roster. Ja Morant, DeJounte Murray, Brandon Ingram, Jeremiah Robinson Earl, and Willie Hernan-Gomez. CJ McCollum off the bench. This just doesn't make sense, Bleacher Report. Why would you even suggest this? Well. Ja Morant averaged 25, 5, and 9 per game. The leading scorer for the Pelicans with Brandon Ingram, who... Man, I love his pictures. CJ McCollum off the bench with 20 points a game. DeJounte Murray with 17. And the rest of the guys couldn't pull their weight. On the other side, Zion Williamson is the main scorer for the Grizzlies. 22 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists a game. With, again, no help. Zach Edey's here, though. Zach Edey's here, though. All right. Grizzlies are 38-43, and the Pelicans are basically the opposite, 42-39. CJ McCollum becomes the 6th man of the year. This is just so weird to me. Okay, this is wild. One of the teams is going to make it into the playoffs. One of the teams will not. And we haven't gotten any gameplay. Let's simcast this game. The Grizzlies and the Pelicans are playing in the play-in game. And it looks like the Pelicans are pulling away. Maybe the Grizzlies can come back? And that would be no. The Grizzlies lose to the Pelicans 140-124. Brandon Ingram has 27, Herb Jones 27, DeJounte 25, and Ja Morant with 21 points. Zion Williamson tried carrying these Grizzlies with 28 points and 9 rebounds, but it was not enough. Wait, there was another play-in game and the Grizzlies won. It simulated it so fast I couldn't even react. So both teams made it into the playoffs because they were the 7th and the 8th seed. The Grizzlies beat, I can't even check who. But whatever, 2K24, thank you so much. The Grizzlies are facing the Thunder, and the New Orleans Pelicans are facing the Dallas Mavericks. Do either team make it out of round 1? The Pelicans do not. They lose in Game 5, and the Grizzlies lose in Game 6. 4-2. I'm going to call this trade an absolute bust. I'd give it a D-. Whoever made this trade needs to be fired from Bleacher Report. The Mavericks win the NBA championship again against the 76ers. We're out of here. These are 5 trades that I thought were interesting. I think I can do better. The experts think these trades are the best for the NBA. I say not. See you next time. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like and a comment if you did. Zion Williamson for Ja Morant. What else can I say? Trade of the century.